All right, in this video, I want to go over boxing gloves. I think that it's really important. I get a lot of questions from a lot of my members, my guests, my clients as to what kind of boxing gloves should they be purchasing. And I think it's one of the biggest things that a lot of people don't really understand. It's a lot. I'm going to use boxing gloves a lot like running shoes. When you go and you want to try on your running shoes. Some shoes are going to fit differently in the same size. So a size 12 with a Nike might be fit differently than say a size 12 in an Under Armour or a Reebok or Asics or Brooks or name all the different running shoes out there. Boxing gloves are no different. So I've got 6 gloves I'm going to demonstrate today on what I like as far as the advantages and disadvantages of each one of them. So let me go over some of my favorite ones. First of all, this glove is Fighting Sport. Fighting Sport is a great glove. This is my personal glove that I like to use when I'm in the ring. The reason I like this glove is you'll notice that it's got a nice flat head. So for me, I like a nice flat style glove, and it's very wide from knuckle to knuckle. It's got a great wide and it's got a short wrist, so it's tight down here. It's got a good punching surface and it's not overly inflated as far as foam, so it's got a great turn. It allows me to actually forces me to curl my hands in when throwing punches. So that's a couple things. The disadvantage to this particular glove though is that you'll notice that it's got limited Velcro. So I find that a lot of times that my clients, I put that in, this will wear out pretty quickly. The Velcro on this one will wear out much quicker than the glove itself. So one thing I like is, again, the wide knuckles, the wide punching surface, the flat surface, and Fighting Sport is a great boxing glove. Let's go over one I'm not a fan of. So on this particular glove, this one's a little bit narrow and it's got a bubble to it. So you'll know it's got a bubble and it's got a lot of inflation. There's a lot of foam pumped into this one. So the idea here is that you'll notice to see it has a dome to it. I particularly don't like that style of glove that has that roundness and that over inflated thickness. That's a good amount of cushion in there. So for me, this glove isn't the greatest glove, but I would put someone in this that might have maybe a beginner that is struggling with their knuckles and distance and they're trying to punch a hole through the bag. I'll give them something that has a little more cushion to save their knuckles. Here's a glove that I like that's my personal glove. It's pretty beat up. This one, again, this one's very soft. So I love this glove because it's not stiff. This is a memory foam. So this Title glove, it's a ProMex, professional Mexican style glove. It's very soft. So this is for someone who definitely has the technique to hit the bag properly, because if you give this glove to somebody who's a beginner, like the gold glove before, they're going to really come back with a lot of sore hands. But the memory foam, now this glove, I need to change this glove out. This one's got way too much give in it. This has probably had its best days behind them. So this glove though I like is you can notice that it's got a it's flat surface. Once again, it's nice and flat. I got good punching surface, just like the Fighting Sport. But this one intrigued me because of the memory foam. The memory foam, really enjoyed that as far as hitting the bag with that. It forced me to snap my punches in order to get that sound and that snap on the bag, especially with the memory foam. I really had to make sure that I was concentrating on whipping my punch and snapping that punch. So I really like this glove. The other thing I'll say I like about this glove is the metal. Not all gloves have this metal hook and loop system, so I really like the hook and loop system. Glove that I don't like very much, but we sell a lot of these gloves. This gel style glove, it's about a $50 glove. It's called a Washable. Now, it is a good glove because it has a gel lining on the outside. So for beginners, I find that it's not really gender specific, but I do find that a lot of the ladies and the women enjoy this glove because it's shorter. It has a shorter stature. If you'll notice, side by side from the Fighting Sport, the Fighting Sport's gonna be much longer than this one. And so a lot of people that are new to boxing, they're not quite comfortable having the boxing glove come down on their forearm. And so having it stop right here at the wrist, if you just gotta make sure you have a good wrist wrap. But this glove is great for beginners. I sell a lot of these. I don't particularly like these gloves. And the other reason why I'm not a fan of this glove personally is when I'm boxing on the heavy bag, I like that leather on leather, or at least some kind of a synthetic leather glove on the leather. This has cloth. This cloth liner right here, because it's washable, this cloth has a thud sound. So when you're hitting the bag with this glove, it doesn't give you that nice smack, snap, pop, snap, crackle, pop on the bag when you're hitting those hooks, landing those punches. This one's gonna be more of a hollow thud sound. But for beginners, they're not really looking for that. You get them in this, and eventually when they get better, they get that better glove, and then they start hearing that sound and they get super excited. But again, I think the advantage to this one for people is that it's shorter. It's an entry-level glove. It's gel. Does pretty well for people. Now, another gel glove that I do like, this is one of my other gloves. This gel glove is a lot like the other one, but it is leather. And again, it's got a nice flat surface. So that's what I look for. For me, I look for that nice flat head. And it's got the metal. It's got the hook and loop system. So for me, again, it's got some things that I like. It's not full of padding. So it's got a nice consistent glove. It's nice and round. It's just got that nice surface to protect your hand. So that's a glove that I like. Another one of my gloves is this Title glove. Again, I'm using a lot of Title, but I'll say I really like Title boxing. I like fighting sport, and I like Rival. I'd say those would be my three, and Venom. Venom's a great boxing glove as well. Venom, Rival, fighting sport, Title boxing. Those are my go-tos. This one I like a lot because it's a little longer. So for me, it's gonna come down on my forearm a little more. Again, you'll see that it's got the flat surface, so it's got a nice flat head to it. Maybe not as wide, but it's got a good surface to it. Again, this is a synthetic, so it's a plastic. What I'll say about boxing gloves, this is gel as well. What I found is I thought that the plastic would break down quicker than the leather gloves, and which is true, but here's the interesting thing. Before the outside tends to break down, it's the insides that break down, whether it's leather or synthetic leather. The liners in these boxing gloves will break down way faster than the seams or this plastic leather. You'd think that the plastic synthetic leather gloves would break and tear and split open and bust open, but it's not the case. As a matter of fact, the gloves, the inside liners, every glove has a different kind of liner. And what I find is that when you got your hand wraps on, when you got those wraps on, inside the glove, you're if it's not super tight, but even when it's tight, you're grinding into the inside of that glove. So the liner starts to wear a hole on the inside, whether it's plastic or the synthetic or the leather. It starts grinding a hole in the inside of the glove. And then once the liner has been broken open inside, then your knuckles and your wraps start digging into the foam. You'll start to notice that because when you take your gloves off, your wraps got little, almost like lint, or like, you know what I mean? So it's got foam on the outside, and then you'll start to see foam falling out. So when you're done hitting the bag, you notice you got almost like snowflakes all around you. That's because the inside of the glove starts to break down because of the friction and the rubbing of your boxing, your inside of that. So I wouldn't focus too much on whether it's made of leather or synthetic leather if that's not a big deal to you. I prefer the leather, obviously, but it's gonna break down on the inside. So don't make that your decision based on longevity, because they're gonna break down on the inside more than they're gonna break down on the outside. Find out, I'll talk about sizes. So talking about the size of your gloves, a big question I get a lot of times is, what size gloves should I be in? Generally speaking, you've got your smalls, medium, large, and extra large, which is your 10 ounce, 12 ounce, 14 ounce, 16 ounce. There is a big difference. Sometimes I'll use a 14 ounce, I'm 225. I'll use a 14 ounce club. Sometimes I'll use a 16 ounce club. It's a big difference between those 2 ounces. So when I want to work on a little more speed, I'm going to probably drop down in my 14 ounce glove. When I want to go a little more power, or I want to build up a little more strength and I want to get a little more muscle fatigue, I'm going to up into that 16 ounce glove. I will find that some gloves I've gotten in 16 ounces have a lot of play in them, and I've had to drop down to a 14 ounce in that style of glove to just have a little tighter fit. On the other hand, sometimes a 14 ounce glove is just too tight and I got to go to the 16 ounce in that style glove. Again, it really helps to have the ability to try on boxing gloves just like you would try on, running shoes. But I would say that most girls that are, going to be in a 12 ounce glove, most guys I'm going to put into a 14 or 16 ounce glove. I'd say if you're under 150, you're going to be in a 12 ounce glove. If you're like, 150 to 200, you're going to be in a 14 ounce glove. I'd say 200, 225 and up, you're going to want to be in that 16 ounce glove. So that's really personal preference, but generally most guys I would put in a 14 ounce, and most ladies I'd put in a 12 ounce glove. If you're really a smaller stature, a real petite, if you're in that sub like maybe 120 and below, you probably want to get in a small. You want that 10 ounce glove. At the end of the day, you want those gloves to be tight. Any play in your glove, any movement in your hand is going to potentially cause injury. So just make sure that you got tight gloves, they fit you nice and snug. And at the end of the day, you want to make sure that safety is your number one priority. Thank you guys. Once again, subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram at steve.merbon. Appreciate all you guys' support. Let me know your feedback on what gloves you prefer, what style of glove, and why you like those gloves.